electronic fundamentals, and how we can understand the basics of electronics.
Azhar bhai, we cannot hear you actually.
Okay, should be audible
Yeah,
now.
now it's fine.
So,
You are audible now.
yeah. So before starting, I just want to know how many people in the meeting are aware of basic electronics. You can just type one in your chat box.
So Azhar bhai, I see the audience will be from different background actually. They may not know exactly, but you set the context, generic context accordingly so that everyone should be able to catch that up.
Okay. Okay. So let's move forward. So everybody knows what is electronics, right? We have so many devices and so many equipments these days. So where you interact with the system. So we want to understand the basics of it. So these are generally taught in engineering courses, but non-engineering jobs also have really need these skills and understanding. Okay.
We cannot.
So
Your screen is not visible now. Earlier it was visible.
still sharing.
Team, meanwhile, if you like participant, if you have any question, you can put that on the chat actually. And towards the end of the webinar, I will give right to for you to like speak directly to Azhar bhai.
You disabled screen sharing is what it says.
Just one
Should
second, one second, one
okay.
second. Try now.
Okay.
Yes, yes. Now it is visible. Start slideshow.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
So today's agenda is to understand the basics of electronics. What is actually electronics? What is electrical system, and how it is made. Okay. And then slowly we will move up till software and hardware, and then what all kind of systems we have today. So the topic this topic is of uh, you know a big importance these days, because everywhere you see new systems coming up, right? If you take even a phone has a lot of features. And if you take LCD televisions, or if you take modern cars, wherever you go, you come across electronics, right? Electronics and automation. So let's go. So starting with a fundamental question, right? What is electronics versus what is electrical? So I gave a quick search on Google. It tells this, right? Electrical systems use electricity as energy, while electronic systems use electricity to manipulate information. Okay. So Shoaib bhai, is it okay if I switch between Urdu and English?
Yes, yes, it is okay.
Okay. So ये एक common question है जो many of us don't know. Okay. Unless you work in this particular field. So electronics and electricals, they both use electricity, right? Current. But what is the difference? Electronics is a device which processes information using electricity. So if you consider, a calculator, it has a battery, and it provides electricity, right, inside. But ultimately, what are you doing? You are doing some calculation, addition, subtraction, division. So you do all those things. Whereas if you if you look at electrical, you don't have any information there. वहाँ पे just आप switch on करते and the equipment or the device starts working. Okay, उसमें कुछ information नहीं है. So that is a basic definition. So for as an example, I have given the pictures here. An electric bulb is basically an electrical device, but on the right hand side you have a calculator. Okay, then on the bottom of the screen you have all those are electrical equipments. ठीक है, अगर आप एक टेबल फैन लिए, it is electrical. There is no information processing in that one, right? But if you take a washing machine, it is both electronic as well as electrical. Okay, electronic because you press some buttons and then you set some time, so many things. But electrical because you have a big motor which will just keep rotating and washing your clothes. So all those are electrical and some are both. Now coming to electronics, the question should arise, right? Ki using electricity, how we are processing the information, how is it possible? ये कैसा हो सकता, right? So for us, information is like you read a newspaper or you read a book. कुछ समझ में आता, right? When you read it, that is called as information. But in electricity, what can be information, right? So that we will learn going forward. So here on the left side, I'm just showing you the components. In any electronic circuit, there are different kind of components which has their own function. हर एक चीज का एक काम है. Okay, so once you join all those things, it does something. कुछ काम करता उन्हें finally, अगर आप उसको connect करें तो. So let's go forward. So in my session today, I'm focusing only on electronics, not on electricals. I just gave you the definition. So I'm sure that many of us might have heard these words, right? Resistors, capacitors. ये दो तो definitely we have heard. Okay. So these are the basic components in electronics. So if you ask how, what all a car is made of, a car has an engine, it has tires, and then it has a fuel tank. All those things, when you combine and connect, it becomes a car, right? And there is a purpose of the car to take you from one place to the other place. So likewise, any electronic system also has a purpose, and depending on what components you use, how you connect them, it will work. Okay, so basic components, if you want to understand any electronic circuit, these are the basic components you should know. Okay, the first one is called as a resistor, second one is called as a capacitor. आप कौन सा भी रेडियो पुराना खोल के देख लो, या नहीं कौन सा भी लाइक वॉशिंग मशीन का सर्किट खोल के देख लो, घर में कौन सी भी आपकी पुरानी चीज है, अगर आप उसको फेंक रहे, so if you open it you will find these components. Okay, so this is called a resistor, this is called a capacitor, and then this is an inductor and a diode and then a led. led तो सबको मालूम है. So led is nothing but light emitting diode. Okay, ये भी एक diode है. Now what are these? We will learn in the next slide. So every component has a symbol also. Okay, so if you draw some circuits on a paper, आप ये सब pictures तो draw नहीं करते, right? So you need to have a symbol, and then you can draw a circuit, how to connect them. So there are more symbols. Ignore those for now. Okay, so what is a resistor? So I'm sure most of us know, but there are many people who don't know also. So I just want to, cover this. So resistor, resistance, the word itself, it means to stop something, right? Uh, so you have resistance to some diseases, okay, or resistance to pain. So all of these things means you have ability to stop something. So in case of electronics, if you have a wire and you have all these green dots as electricity, so electricity flows freely in a copper wire, right, जो अपने घर में रहता generally. But in electronics, you want to play with electricity. So what you're doing, resistor is not a wire. It is a combination of wire and something else like a plastic or something which doesn't conduct electricity. Okay. तो अगर आप प्लास्टिक से वायर को छुए तो यू वोंट गेट ए शॉक, राइट? इलेक्ट्रिसिटी पास नहीं होती प्लास्टिक में से. लाइकवाइज रबर है, राइट, और स्टोन है, नॉट स्टोन, some other examples. So resistor, the intention of resistor is to stop the electricity. So that's how it works. If you connect a resistor in the path of electricity, तो उन्हें क्या करता? It is just like a speed breaker for the electricity. So it gets reduced. Okay, उसकी energy कम हो जाती once it passes through the resistor. Okay, so this is the very basic first component in electronics. Now what else it does? और क्या कर सकता है resistor? So how it works is, uh, when current is passing through the resistor is heated up. उन्हें गर्म होना शुरू हो जाता. Okay, so it is simply like, um, you have a very high pressure और आप क्या कर रहे हैं, उसको एक बहुत छोटा पाइप लगा रहे. So what happens? The pipe starts bulging, या फिर उन्हें फूट भी सकता, right? So likewise resistor also, it is stopping, but if you force more electricity through it, it starts heating up. Okay, it starts heating up, and then finally what happens, it breaks, because उसका काम ही रोकना है. But if more than allowed electricity enter हो गई, so it cannot handle it and it will simply heat up, and anything which gets heated up breaks. Okay, तो resistor जल जाता. Okay, and that is another example. Like many of us have heating coils in our home, right? पुराने चूल्हे रहते थे. So what is that? That whole spring is nothing but it is a resistor. So it is simply stopping the electricity and then heating up without breaking. और वो heat से we are cooking. Okay, and then in the left side, this is just an example of a variable resistor. So what happens is, this is a slider. जो letter P है, it is a slider. So if you place it to the left side, current will enter point A and then it will pass through point B. Okay, so this is a slider. जितना दूर रखेंगे आप, उतना ज्यादा coils में से current को pass होना पड़ता, and it has more resistance. Okay, so it is just like a simple knob. Okay, then next, capacitor. Now what is a capacitor? So you might have noticed some small electrostatic discharge, right? कभी कभी सर्दियों में आपको चिट चिट करता, right? Like if your hands are rubbed on silk, छोटा सा spark होता, which you don't notice. Okay, and then you might have also seen it happens with hairs. So sometimes क्या होता, ज्यादा if you do lot of comb, right, अगर कंघी ज्यादा करे आप, तो what happens, your hairs, if they're dry, they start, you know flying, right? So in this picture, the boy is sliding on a slide, and his hairs are getting charged. तो ये क्या है ये, right? ये कई को होता. So it is a principle in nature. There are two types of charges, right? On any electric, on a battery, right? On a cell, आपको क्या रहता, पॉजिटिव और नेगेटिव रहता. तो rule in nature is, say similar charges repel each other. Okay, they go away from each other, and opposite charges attract each other. Okay, तो पॉजिटिव और नेगेटिव अगर रहा तो they keep attracting each other. There is a force. But अगर there is positive and positive, they repel each other. Okay, ढकल देता हूँ. So in this example, right, all the hairs are charged with one type of charge. That is why every hair is trying to push the other hair. Okay, and that's why everyone is trying to go away from each other, and all the hairs are kind of standing up. Okay, so capacitor का function क्या है? Why it is used? To store the charge. Okay, store the charge. So if I connect a battery like this to one metal plate जहाँ पे positive connected है, और एक दूसरी metal plate को मैं negative connect कर दिया, so what I can see is the plates get charged, and even if I remove the battery, there is some charge between the plates, because once the charges metal plate को चले गए, they stay there. Okay, क्योंकि दूसरी तरफ से उसको कोई खींच रहा, तो even if you remove the battery, it stays there. So that is a principle. So this is the main principle in storing the data. So electronics may, like in your phone, right? You take a picture or you record your voice. Whatever you're doing, it is getting recorded. तो कैसा record हो रहा हो? There is no pencil or there is nothing, right? Nobody is writing, but automatically record हो रहा. तो कैसा हो रहा record? You have capacitors, small capacitors, which is called as memory. उसके अंदर जाके your voice or your picture is getting stored in the form of charges. Okay, so this is one other component. Now there is a capacity of each capacitor. So if you see 4700 microfarad, 25 volts, so depending on the size of this metallic board, उसमें उतनी capacity रहती to hold the charges. If you have a very big area, you can hold more charges. If you have a small area, then you have less charge. So depending on the design, you get different sizes of capacitors. Okay, so this is a storing device. Okay, then going next. Now this slide is very important and very interesting. I will try to make it interesting. So what is a diode? So diode, see, if you look at any wire घर में, if you switch on, क्या होता, इलेक्ट्रिसिटी फ्लो होती, और इलेक्ट्रिसिटी कौन से भी डायरेक्शन में फ्लो हो सकती, राइट? अगर आप बल्ब, इफ यू कनेक्टेड बल्ब ऑन वन एंड, स्विच ऑन करे, तो द बल्ब विल लाइट अप. वही बल्ब निकाल के आप वायर को अगर उल्टा कर दिए, ओके, एंड यू फ्लिप द पोजीशन ऑफ द बल्ब एंड द स्विच, उल्टा कर दिए, जब ऑन करे तो जब भी ऑन होता हो, राइट? तो करंट कैन फ्लो इन एनी डायरेक्शन इन ए कॉपर वायर. जहां से भी करंट आ रहा उधर ऑपोजिट साइड चले जाता. बट इन इलेक्ट्रॉनिक्स, you want to control the current. You want the current to flow only in one direction. Okay, reverse nahi aana current. So you can imagine it is just like a water valve. Valve में क्या होता? If you open the valve, water will flow. If you close the valve, water will not flow. Okay, and if you आपके घर से अगर पानी वापस भेज रहे, इट डजंट गो बिकॉज द प्रेशर ऑन द अदर साइड इज हायर, राइट? नहीं होता वैसा. So with a similar concept, they came up, they invented one component called as diode. So how it works, इसका symbol ऐसा है, okay, triangle and then a bar. So what it does is, it is actually made up of two different materials. So when you connect a battery, right, negative should connect to negative, positive should connect to positive. When you connect it like this, current starts flowing. But if you connect the battery opposite way, positive is connected to the negative side of the diode, negative is connected to positive side of the diode, the current will not flow. तो ये क्या है, ये एक सेफ्टी मैकेनिज्म है, राइट? सो गलती से अगर आप बैटरी उल्टी लगा दिए आपके कोई भी डिवाइस में, नथिंग हैपेंस, राइट? आपका डिवाइस जल नहीं जाता. बट सिमिलरली इफ यू पुट रॉन्ग टर्मिनल्स इन सम टेलीविजन, सपोज टेलीविजन या फिर कुछ अदर इक्विपमेंट, देयर आर चांसेस दैट इट विल बर्न आउट. So electrical mein there are chances to burn out, but in electronics you want to save your device by controlling the direction of the current. So this is a very small size of the diode, but high tension wires है, power distribution centers है, तो वहां पर भी आपको बड़े बड़े हाई कैपेसिटी के डायोड्स मिलते हैं. तो why I am talking this is, once you understand the concept of the diode, आप कहीं पर भी जाओ, it is called as diode only, और उसका काम वही रहता. Okay, so that's why I'm putting even a small component versus big components. Okay, and then what is this? This is the first time when diode was invented. So today it appears like a very small component. आपको previous slide में बताया था मैं, right? See, it looks very small component, but earlier when it was invented, it was like a very big bulb. Okay, and it was a very costly device. But इसका भी काम वही था, to control the current only in one direction. Okay, so I hope you got this. You can ask me questions later. And then there is a final component. If you understand this, again it's a very big thing in understanding electronics. So transistor, like I said, if you see some broken devices, आपको ऐसे चीज़ें भी दिखते. Okay, now this is a transistor. What it does? So in a diode, अपने को क्या करना था, intention to control the direction of the current. But in a transistor, you want to control. See, look at this tap. So you are getting water from outside, but you want to control that water with some other tap, right? With some other handle. Even though it is coming in one direction, you want to control it. You want to control the pressure, right? So that is the concept of a transistor. The transistor symbol is like this. It has three terminals. और इन्हें क्या करता? There are sources. You will connect one battery here to this terminal positive, this terminal negative, and you will connect second battery here, one positive here, one negative here. So what happens is, by controlling the current in this terminal, you are actually controlling how much of current will flow from this side. Okay, so वो है concept. So if you see here, uh, when the lady is pressing the button here, right, on the left side of the transistor, there is a current flowing from this supply voltage on the other side, and this bulb is glowing. So ऑटो, ये थोड़ा सा ऑटोमेशन है इसमें, राइट? रिमोटली यू आर जस्ट यूजिंग अ बटन एंड देन यू आर मेकिंग सम अदर सर्क्यूट वर्क. ओके. एंड इसके अंदर there are some more things like amplification. See, the main concept in transistor is, okay, come back to the tap. If you have very high pressure, right, in this tap, still you have the same control. अगर आप थोड़ा सा उसको टर्न करेंगे तो स्टिल यू विल गेट लॉट ऑफ वाटर आउटसाइड. और थोड़ा इंक्रीज करेंगे तो और ज्यादा आउटपुट आ जाता. तो कॉन्सेप्ट हियर इज, बाय यूजिंग स्मॉल वोल्टेज, स्मॉल कंट्रोलिंग वोल्टेज, एक छोटी सी बैटरी यूज करके यू कैन कंट्रोल लार्ज वोल्टेज करंट्स. एक छोटा सा बटन यूज करके आप एक बड़ी मशीन ऑन कर सकते हैं विदाउट एक्चुअली हैंडलिंग हाई वोल्टेज स्विचेस. अगर आपको हाई वोल्टेज के पास जाने से कुछ रिस्क है, राइट, you don't want to go there, but still you want to control it with some small battery. So in such applications you will use a transistor. Okay. So I hope that is understood. Simple way mein I'm trying to explain it. Okay. Now this is the final slide about the components. अब electronic circuits में what is the intention? We want to make some device कि भाई अगर मैं ये बटन प्रेस करा तो ऐसा होना, राइट? If I press two buttons, something else should happen. So electronic piano रहता ना जो बच्चे खेलते, you might have seen. What happens? If you press one button, you get one sound. If you press two buttons, you get a different sound. तो एक डिवाइस है वो जिसके अंदर डिफरेंट बटन कॉम्बिनेशंस, डिफरेंट इनपुट्स अगर आप देंगे तो इट डज डिफरेंट थिंग्स, अलग अलग काम करता. So what engineers have done is they made something as logic gates. Okay, ये imaginary symbols है ये, which are uh, which are implemented using same electronic components, transistor, diode, resistor, ये सब use करके they are making an imaginary component which is called as logic gate. तो ये logic gate क्या है? It is a component which works as per some logic. Okay, logic है. So what do you mean by logic? Logic is like लॉजिक तो सभी को मालूम है, बट स्टिल आई वांट टू एक्सप्लेन. So okay, this one is and, right? So what it says, let's say example of cooking. So if you want to cook something, a curry, you need vegetables and you also need water to start with, right? अगर दोनों, if both are fed, only then you get curry outside. Okay, so that is a logic. But in other examples, uh, if at least one thing is input, the output is okay. Like for example, if there is a parent teacher meeting in school, so teacher is actually intending to meet the parents. So kid can be there or he or she may not be there, it doesn't matter, right? So if parent comes, if even one person comes, either mother or father, right? If mother comes, then also the meeting will happen. If father comes, then also meeting happens. If both of them come, meeting will happen. अगर दोनों भी नहीं आए तभी मीटिंग नहीं होती. Okay, so that is called or means one of the two conditions should be met, then only the output will be correct. Okay, so likewise there are so many other logics, or it is shown in the form of a table also. जैसा कि यहाँ पर and है, अगर a and b को 0 0 दिया हमें तो it is a 0, 0 and 1 दिया तो output is 0, 1 and 0 दिया तो भी 0 है. Only when both of them are 1, the output is 1. Okay, so this is called a truth table. So for every gate, there is a truth table to tell you how that gate works. Okay, so these are called logic gates. So this is the theory, concept है ये. But how does it look? It looks like a IC. तो ऐसे ICs भी देखे होंगे आप लोग बोर्ड्स पे. तो ये क्या है? It is nothing but a simple AND गेट है. ओके, ये चिप के अंदर यू हैव 1 2 3 4 AND गेट्स है इसके अंदर, which you can use independently. So that's how it looks in real world. And you might have seen on some circuit boards chips कैसा दिखते. तो we generally look at it and we think अरे क्या है कि ये, right? ये चिप में क्या होता कि. So it's not like that. All the chips, most of the chips are nothing but basic electronic components जहाँ पे they are connecting it for some purpose, some logic उनको implement करना है. Okay, and then you have two types of circuits. You need to know this. So analog versus digital. What is an analog circuit? So in simple words, if any value like current या फिर voltage, if it is continuous, मतलब like if you take the brightness of a bulb, what happens? Sometimes it is very bright, कभी voltage कम रहा तो थोड़ा सा dim हो जाता, and if the voltage is too bad और dim हो जाता, totally off नहीं होता, right? uh, Likewise इलेक्ट्रिक स्टोव है समझो, नॉब आप जितना बढ़ाए उतना हीट होता, राइट? ऐसा नहीं कि हीट हुआ तो इट गोज टू मैक्सिमम या फिर टोटली ऑफ हो जाता, राइट? सो देर आर वैल्यूज इन बिटवीन, कभी हाई रहता, कभी लोअर रहता, कभी टोटली जीरो हो जाता. सो एनीथिंग विच वर्क्स लाइक दैट is called as analog system. Okay, analog system. So another example is telephone. So old times you had these telephones, right? We used to have BSNL lines, all those lines coming into our houses. So when you talk on that phone, it generates a signal which is like analog. तो करंट जाता था वायर्स में से जो कि एनालॉग रहता था. Likewise, what is digital? Digital is like a it is either 1 or 0, या तो नहीं रहता या नहीं तो ऑफ हो जाता. So you might have seen your phone, right? When you power on your phone always comes up in the same manner. पूरा स्क्रीन आता, पूरा कंट्रोल्स आते, इट इज फुल्ली ऑन. ऐसा नहीं कि थोड़ा सा आया और थोड़ा नहीं आया, राइट? इवन इफ यू टेक ए लैपटॉप और ए कंप्यूटर, वंस यू प्रेस द पावर अप बटन, पूरा सिस्टम या तो ऑन होता या ना तो कुछ भी ऑन नहीं होता, राइट? सो दैट इज द एग्जांपल ऑफ ए डिजिटल. सो सिमिलरली डिजिटल में क्या examples of digital is your phone and then your iPod. Okay, there are so many examples. So this is a good example of a car. So car में how does the meter work? आपके टायर में there is a sensor. So then the needle keeps moving. Okay, जितना आप टायर तेज फिराएंगे, the needle keeps moving, थोड़ा 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 मूव होता. But on the digital meter, अब 45 स्पीड है वहां पे, 45 से 45.5, 45.6 ऐसा नहीं होता, राइट? इट बिकम्स 46 डायरेक्टली, या तो 45 या तो 46. ओके, सो व्हाट आई एम ट्राइंग टू से फ्रॉम दिस स्लाइड इज all of your systems are divided into analog or digital. Wherever you are having a digital circuit, you will be having logic gates in that circuit. Okay, and you will have electronics in the circuit. Okay, so that's the main thing. So going further, now sensors for any electronic system, जैसा कि आपका फोन है, राइट? सो once you touch the touch screen, आपका स्क्रीन आपके टच को सेंस कर रहा है आपका फोन, एंड देन इट इज प्रेसिंग सम बटन. ओके, लाइकवाइज आपका कैमरा है, once you switch on the camera, it is sensing the environment. फोटो लेने के लिए it is sensing the light from your surroundings and then it is capturing. So any electronic system, it needs something from the outer world. If it needs something, then you need a sensor. Okay, so you can see there are so many examples. So the top one first is color sensor. So it is mostly like a camera. Your camera will have a color sensor, and then you have a touch sensor, right? So there are so many sensors: soil sensor, humidity sensor, air pressure sensor. So why we are having all these sensors is, आपको जैसा भी सिस्टम बनाना है, जैसा भी सिस्टम डिजाइन करना है, डिपेंडिंग ऑन योर नीड, you can use such a sensor. So if you take a simple thermometer, it has a temperature sensor. Okay, so that's the thing. And then if you take advanced examples like a navy ship, उसके अंदर भी you have so many sensors. So यहाँ पर देखो level sensor, and then you have tank level indicators, how much of fuel you have, then flow switches, how fast the fuel is flowing, right? So everywhere you have some kind of sensor. Sensors are also made up of electronic devices only, electronic components. So if you look at this slide carefully, right, these are all small electronic boards. तो यहाँ पर एक IC है, and there will be so many resistors inside this, and then you have a microphone, which is nothing but a resistive device again. उसमें भी resistance रहता. Okay, so you take this one, rain sensor. This is completely a resistive device. ये पूरा एक resistor है. Okay, and if you take ultrasonic sensor, this is also again a resistive. So many types of sensors are made up from the same component. So if you understand the principle, then you understand everything. So likewise, I have taken an example of an aircraft. So you have oxygen sensor, and then fuel quantity sensor, fuel level sensor, temperature sensor, pressure sensor. So all those kind of sensors are common. But यहाँ पे notice करने की बात ये है, depending on that the domain, right, or depending on the device, the size will differ, the shape will differ. So if you see, you have a pressure sensor here also somewhere, right, and you have a pressure sensor here also. Both might look different, and you have a pressure sensor somewhere here also. Okay, air pressure sensor. So principle is same, purpose is same, but they can look different because of different requirements. अगर आप लेके जाके अगर एक एयरप्लेन में लगा रहे, तो it has to be more precise, it has to be more strong, right? Because airplane keeps on flying in sun, rain, all those things. तो उसके लिए उसको अलग पैकेजिंग करना पड़ता, अलग बनाना पड़ता. बट द प्रिंसिपल इज सेम. Resistor works as resistor, capacitor works as capacitor. Okay, so that is the beauty of electronics. Once you understand the concept, everything is simple. Likewise, here it is a soldier where he has lot of cameras, and these are sensors for him. So if he turns his head sideways, then there are sensors which will tell you that he is rotating the head, and the screen will change the video. Okay, augmented reality जिसको बोलते हैं. Okay, fine. Now what? Now, like I said, our session is to start from fundamentals and go till the modern electronics. So everyone might have a laptop or at least a cell phone these days, or yeah, फिर at least a television. So in all of these electronic devices, what do you have? A processor or some big IC, right? तो उसके अंदर क्या रहता? That is a question. So generally हम लोग नहीं सोचते, right? People who have not been through engineering courses, they don't know. They just think अरे भाई एक आईसी है एक आईसी है एक चिप है बोलते हैं. बट वो चिप में रहता क्या? So if you look at this title, right? Highly integrated hardware. So integration का meaning क्या है? To join different things together. Okay, if you join 100 components, 100 resistors, 100 capacitors, 20 diodes, 30 transistors, ये पूरों को लेके if you connect, it is called as integration. So highly integrated hardware is nothing but instead of making the components bigger in size, they have advanced machines which can make the same resistor at a very very small scale. Okay, microscope से देखना पड़ता. So the IC that we saw in the previous pictures, right? This particular IC, this whole IC can be reduced to something like this small square. और वो square कहाँ से आ रहा? Actually और बहुत छोटा है. Microscope से देखने पे you will look at the IC. So when people made a lot of complicated machines which can design their circuits out of silicon, तो ये किससे बना रहे हैं? मिट्टी से बनाते हैं. Okay, I mean not direct sand but lot of processing उससे बनाते. So the point is the scale कितना छोटा बना दिए, right? So that is the beauty. Once we had that capability, बड़े बड़े circuits, बड़े बड़े digital circuits, क्या है? People started manufacturing and then package inside another plastic. ये जो काला है पूरा एक plastic है. And then you have all the wires going inside and coming out. Okay, so uh, if you look at a processor, ये processor है जो computer में रहता. If you look at it with a microscope, then you have all these large circuits. तो you might have heard multi-core processor बोल के सुने होंगे. Even if you go and buy a phone these days, उसके बॉक्स पे लिखा हुआ रहता अरे 5 core 4 core multi-core. So what is it? पहले एक प्रोसेसर इतना बड़ा आता था. अब क्या करें? उसको श्रिंक करके 5 4 whatever it is, पूरे श्रिंक करके और डेंस कर दिए. तो अब एक प्रोसेसर के साइज में यू आर गेटिंग 5 processors and then another graphics card and then lot of memory and everything. So all of this is done through semiconductor manufacturing, it is called, right? Semiconductors use karte. So Intel and AMD, all of these big processor manufacturers, they have those machines. Okay, next. So finally, what are we seeing these days? So these days we are no more seeing basic electronic components. अरे रेसिस्टर ऐसा दिखता था भाई, कैपेसिटर ऐसा दिखता था, राइट? अब कहाँ दिखने में आ रहा, नहीं दिख रहा. सो द कंपोनेंट्स हैव गॉन नोवेयर, कहीं भी गायब नहीं हो गए वो. दे आर जस्ट मेड इनटू वेरी वेरी स्मॉल साइज. ओके, सो लाइक आई शोड दिस टुडे, योर इलेक्ट्रॉनिक बोर्ड्स आर लुकिंग समथिंग लाइक दिस, जिसके ऊपर you have lot of ICs, integrated circuits. Okay, some are called just ICs, some are called highly integrated circuits, HICs. There are so many names. Point is, when you look at a board, Some chip is the main chip, okay, which is a very, very dense chip, and which is the main heart of the whole board. But if you look at some other, it is lesser dense. उसके अंदर थोड़े components हैं compared to a processor. Okay. Likewise, if you take this device, this can be an analog component. Okay. And then again, these small devices that you're seeing, components, ये capacitor है. I don't know if you can see my pointer. Okay, that is a small capacitor, and this is a resistor. So anything which is very, very small here, those are either capacitors or resistors or inductors. Okay. And now you may ask me, okay, where are diodes and where are transistors? So answer is, these logic gates, ये जो बता रहा IC में, what I said, this is just a concept. So to make an AND gate, you need several transistors. तो transistors use करके logic gates बनाते. Okay. So in any chip, you have lot of thousands, millions, billions of logic gates. उसका काम ही वो है. Which means lot of millions, billions of transistors, right? Logic gates are nothing but transistors. So finally, I'm telling you that basics are same, but the way they are manufactured, the way they are condensed into small size, that keeps bringing new hardware every time. अब आज आपको एक छोटा बोर्ड है, tomorrow you will get more powerful phone in a much smaller size, right? So how are you able to get that? Somebody is integrating all of these chips into one simple chip again. एक single chip सोख कर लेती काम. Okay, so that's how the things are. This is called a development board, Arduino development board. So if somebody wants to learn programming, if you want to play with this chip with a computer, क्या करना पड़ता है आपको? ये connect करके you can write some software which goes and resides on this board, and then this board will work as you programmed. जो भी logic लिखे आप, उन्हें वो logic gates को drive करता, and it will work. Okay, you can connect some peripherals here. एक मोटर लगा सकते, एक पिन को, एक बल्ब लगा सकते, या फिर एक गेट लगा सकते, ऑटोमेटिक गेट, या फिर एक सेंसर लगा सकते, right? You can do so many things. These are called development boards. So you should know the basics, what these boards are actually doing, then you can get a better picture of how to work with them. Okay, so now what is software? So I know we are like 3 minutes short of closure. I will try to extend 10 minutes. Sorry, we lost some time in the beginning. So what is software, right? The software cannot exist without hardware, right? What is hardware अगर कोई पूछे, so you can tell, right? अरे भाई हार्डवेयर में एक प्रोसेसर रहता, resistors, capacitors, boards, connectors, all these things. But what is software? The software is nothing but some data, zeros and ones. आप क्या है स्टोर कर दे रहे. So like I told you earlier, right? Memory is nothing but capacitors. तो आप क्या कर रहे हो, उसमें स्टोर कर दे रहे. And then when you power on the device, that data will start flowing as per the circuit, and it will work as per the logic. जैसा आप सॉफ्टवेयर में लिखे, the hardware will work like that. Okay, so software is nothing but it is some information in terms of zeros and ones which will make your hardware work. Okay, that is the only meaning of software. So why I included this picture is, today you have lot of complicated hardware and complicated software. Okay, and big machines. They are called as some server farms, and uh, collection of lot of machines. They are talking to each other by means of software. Okay, so communication software के through हो रहा. Okay, so some people say अरे भाई हार्डवेयर कुछ भी नहीं है, सॉफ्टवेयर मेन है. Some say सॉफ्टवेयर कुछ भी नहीं है, हार्डवेयर मेन है. Right, it is nothing like that. Both are important. One cannot exist without the other. So when you combine both hardware and software, then such a thing is called as a system. Okay, electronic system. So when you go out for a job, either you go in a phone company or an aerospace company, कौन सी भी कंपनी में जाओ आप, you will have hardware and you will have software. So if you want to become a system engineer, you need to understand both hardware and you need to understand the software. तभी आप बोल सकते हैं कि how the system is working. Okay, that's the meaning of a system engineer. And then this is like the latest in hardware. तो पहले क्या होता था, I have two, I think 2 or 3 slides more, and then we can go for questionnaire. So पहले क्या होता था, so you have logic gates, right? So once somebody fabricated or manufactured an IC, अगर आप AND गेट बना दिए, मैन्युफैक्चर कर दिए, तो अब उन्हें AND गेट के जैसा ही काम करेंगे, राइट? So once you fabricated it, it cannot change. So that is a fixed hardware. Even processors, right? Whatever processors you had, they were fixed. Okay, so it is as good as, say आपको एक कार खरीदना है, राइट? You cannot keep changing your car. जो कार आप खरीद लिए वही रहती, you cannot change it. उसका डिजाइन, उसके फीचर्स चेंज नहीं कर सकते. ओके, सो दैट वाज द ओल्ड डेज. ओल्ड इन द सेंस अभी भी आ रहे हैं आपको, बट फ्यूचर अपकमिंग, what you have is something called as FPGA. So FPGA is nothing but a very big circuit, okay, a very big digital circuit which has lot of logic gates, and you can program the device. Okay, at one time you can say अरे भाई इंटेल के प्रोसेसर के जैसा बना देता हूँ इसको मैं. So all the logic gates will be reconnect. And second day you can say अरे इंटेल का प्रोसेसर अच्छा नहीं है, I want AMD processor. Okay, so again you can program the device and it will reconfigure, it will reconnect all the logic gates to behave like an AMD processor. So इससे advantage क्या हो गया with these programmable devices? पहले क्या होता था, अरे Pentium 1, or you buy some hardware, but if you want more faster hardware, then you need to buy another one. But today what they are doing is, this hardware is costly. Okay, so they are buying it once and they are reconfiguring as they want. अब iOS, एप्पल में जो भी ऑपरेटिंग सिस्टम है, iOS 17 समथिंग, इट कैनॉट रन ऑन ए ओल्ड हार्डवेयर. अगर एक पुराना आईफोन है तो नया सॉफ्टवेयर उस पर नहीं चलता. कहीं क्यों नहीं चलता? बिकॉज द सॉफ्टवेयर इज वेरी ह्यूज, but and the hardware capacity is very less. So people don't want such limitation. So what they are doing is they are buying programmable devices, and then over the time as they need, they keep upgrading the software and they keep upgrading the hardware. Okay, so these are costly devices, so you may not see it very often. So that's the thing, but it is good to know for job seekers. Okay, and these are like future programmable future hai, near future, it's already happening. Now what else? So going beyond, You have supercomputing, quantum computing. So what is this? So going forward, what people have found is ICs, electronic components, all those things will stop working at certain point. अगर आपको और स्पीड होना है तो you cannot work with those circuits. तो you totally have to abandon, छोड़ देना पड़ता वो टेक्नोलॉजी को और कुछ नई टेक्नोलॉजी निकालना पड़ता. तो सुपर कंप्यूटिंग is something which is using very advanced hardware, but quantum computing is totally different. Here also you have logic gates. Here also you have resistors, capacitors, okay, transistors, but they don't look like semiconductors. They don't look like integrated circuits. They look totally different. Now, why I included this is if you understand these concepts, resistance क्या है, analog क्या है, digital क्या है, sensors क्या है, right? If you understand these principles, same principles will be applied in an advanced computer also, but they just look different. Okay, the implementation of the concept is different. Okay, so it is easy for you to move from semiconductor technology to some other technology with the same concepts. Okay, that's how it is. So careers, on the careers, I did not include any direct company names or things like that, but I just want to give you a picture how the electronic system engineers are working these days. So these hardware, like I said, it is all designed and manufactured by machines. So before manufacturing, what does the system engineer do? They do something called as RTL development, resistor transistor logic development. ओके, तो अगर आपको 100 लॉजिक गेट्स होना है, 1000 होना है, 1 लाख होना है, तो हाउ डू यू कनेक्ट देम, हाउ डू यू प्लेस देम, एक को दूसरे से कितनी नजदीक रखते, कितना वायर का लेंथ रखते, कितना थिन रखते, कितना थिक रखते, राइट? What values of resistors or capacitors will you use? So all that thing is called as RTL development. So first the engineers will work on designing the logic logic circuit based on some software. जैसा Xilinx software है, so many softwares. With whole process, once they complete and they verify, then it goes to manufacturing. जब actual IC जब बनती, so first they test it, see FPGA prototype and enables firmware development. तो प्रोटोटाइप पहले बना के फिर उसके ऊपर सॉफ्टवेयर इंप्लीमेंट करके कंप्लीटली चेक करके फाइनली द हार्डवेयर विल बी मैन्युफैक्चर्ड and the same software will go on top of the hardware. So this is a very big process. You can research and study a little bit. So if you go to any companies and go for jobs, right, this is the latest method how the hardware and systems are developed. पहले के जैसा कोई भी जाके ब्रेड बोर्ड या फिर एक सर्किट बोर्ड ले लेके वायर्स लेके कंपोनेंट्स रख के हाथों से जुड़ा लेते हुए नहीं बैठे अब कोई भी. ओके, एवरीथिंग इज थ्रू द सॉफ्टवेयर and you need to know all the concepts in theory, and then you can work with the software. You can design a very good IC or a chip and automatically it goes to manufacturing. Now for the I did not include any slides here unfortunately. Now AI is a totally different topic. Now still we included it in our title, right? So why did I do that? See, future ready. So you take any AI is nothing but software plus hardware. So if you take any robot, right, Tesla robot या फिर Unitree robot, these kind of robots, advanced robots, if you take, उसमें क्या रहता? Robot is a hardware and then it has a software. But if you take a chat GPT, you may ask me, अरे चैट जीपीटी तो इंटरनेट पे आ रहा, वेयर इज द हार्डवेयर? So there will be a hardware for ChatGPT also. It can be in certain location wherever the servers of the company are, right? And all those machines, all that hardware is again very advanced and very high speed hardware. That is why ChatGPT AI software is a big software, right? It needs a lot of computing power. So it will also have hardware. So AI I cannot cover today. Okay, my main focus was to take you from the basics and then make you understand how today's advanced systems work. Okay, and then slowly build on top of it. So AI definitely is going to come into all the fields, all the products, all the domains, but everywhere you will have hardware and software. So that was the intention. So that's it. I'm open for questionnaire, Shoaib bhai.
Yes, yes. Thank you very much, Azhar bhai. I'm just giving the right to everyone to unmute and directly talk to you.
Sure.
Participant, thank you for staying. I hope you got something valuable today. Feel free to unmute yourself and ask question directly to Azhar bhai.
अस्सलाम वालेकुम। जी,
Walaikum salam.
अज़हर भाई मेरा ये सवाल था कि जो हमारा जो टॉपिक का नाम दिया था, आपने जो भी वेबिनार लिया उससे पूरा हट के लिया। आपने